Hi, everyone. Thank you all for your patience. Because we were waiting for Isaac, man of the hour,
That's right.
who's joined us now. We are going to call the meeting to order. I want to let you know that we are going to take the agenda out of order so that we can ensure we have a quorum for the action items, okay? So we're not going to follow the agenda as printed, but we are going to cover all the agenda items. This meeting is now called to order at 3:29.
Do it. Aw. Hey.
All right, let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance. Ben.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Are we voting on all of them at once or each individually?
We should do them individually.
Okay, so BA 2025-2.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
BA 2025-3.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
BA 2025-4.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Next, Wayne, BA 2025-8.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate the opportunity. This is a simple IDIQ contract with an electrical firm. It spells out what process we went through with regards to getting a qualified bidder, and the Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorizes the President and Chief Executive Officer to enter into a contract with Pacific Energy Concepts for a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extension renewal options for the amount not to exceed $1,250,000. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Wayne, you're going to stay there?
I'll stay right here.
All right, and we'll go to BA 2025-5, concrete repair services.
This is basically kind of the same concept. We have a contract repair services that we need to make repairs at Fort Worth Central Station, HRP parking lot, and at Centerport down the future. So there was a bid, an RFP let, and we put the service out to bid. There was a DBA goal of 25% that we had in that contract. The recommendation for Capco Concrete Structure says they'll be able to meet that 25%. So our recommendation, therefore, is the Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorizes the President and Chief Executive Officer to enter into a contract with Capco Concrete Structures, LLC, for a 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options for a total not to exceed of amount of $1,175,000.
Motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Want me-
Will you say that the ayes have it?
Ayes have it. And BA 2025-6, should we just do all of, we do them in this order or just go with all of Wayne's? Because you only have one more.
I think it's Chair's prerogative.
Great, Wayne,
That's 7.
great.
Okay,
BA 20, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
going to
BA 2025-7.
Yeah, so this is the normal time of year where we put together our KPI performances. If you go to page 122 out of 126 in your packet, you'll see what we performed in year 22, 23, 24, and the goals for 25. We every year take an average of what's going on in the service and then see any different anomalies that might happen the following year, i.e. reduction in routes, which is reduction in hours, or miles, which helps in the calculation. Each one has a bit of a stretch goal into it, even though you may not think. For example, I'll give you an example, the fixed route injuries per 100,000 revenue miles. We have less miles because if you remember, we reduced routes this fiscal year. So that's, even though it's not lower than the 0.46 that we achieved this year, it is a stretch goal because we have less miles that'll be reported. All of them are calculated in the same way. I can go through any one if anybody has any questions about them, but here's the goals that we're recommending for the board to approve. So the Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorizes the President and Chief Executive Officer to adopt the key performance indicators for the fiscal year 2025.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Read, BA 2025-6.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Reed Lanham, the Vice President of Rail here at Trinity Metro. And if you would please turn to page 120 of 126 in your packets. We're going to go over what I feel is an exciting action item. We are preparing to alter the textural schedule, enhance it, if you will. And this action item seeks to do your approval to do that. Currently, we run 2 peak services during the day where we're on 30-minute headways. This new enhanced schedule will allow us from 3:50 a.m. in the morning till almost 8 o'clock at night to offer consistent 30-minute headways. We are taking 2 of our more lightly used train runs historically from both ends of the schedule and working them into the midday and adding 1 more train run. So there is a slight increase in cost to our O&M contract, but we feel with the benefits this offers the public in accessibility and reliability, it's going to be a big thing for us, we hope. On the flip side of this, we're getting 5 years, almost 6 years into service of TexRail, and we're starting to see what our system can do, what it can't do. We're learning where the ridership patterns are, that's where we're putting the trains, and this will allow us to also better maintain our system. We currently have a 36-minute window at night where there are no trains out on the tracks. That makes it extremely difficult to maintain your system. That's why we have maybe once or twice a year, we shut completely down. We have to do a system-wide shutdown to perform the required maintenance yearly. With this new schedule, not only do we get a much longer window of 30-minute headways, we'll have a 3.5-hour window every night to perform maintenance on the vehicles and on the infrastructure. This is a huge deal for the sustainability of our system moving forward. And I can't stress that enough. This is going to be a really big deal for us. We've also looked across the nation. We've put a lot of work into this, spent a lot of time with stakeholders, and there's this trend across the country now of the traditional commuter model is not working anymore post-COVID. People's travel patterns have changed, their lives have changed. People are more interested in being able to get where they want to get whenever they want to leave and get there. There's no longer that structured early morning peak to get you to work and then the evening peak to get you home from work. So we feel this is going to keep us consistent with other systems across the nation and be a huge benefit to the system. So with that, I'll read the recommendation. The Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorizes the President and Chief Executive Officer to amend the TexRail Operations and Maintenance Contract, number 17-020, with Herzog Transit Services to implement 30-minute midday frequencies at the cost of $328,624.76 for a revised total contract amount that does not exceed $140,206,246, and very importantly, the 85 cents for TexRail Operations and Maintenance Services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And Reed, I look forward to your partnership with our marketing and media team to see what kind of social media ads come out of a 30-minute campaign. And
Hey, Reed, when would that start?
That is slated, that's a good question. That's slated to start November 3rd,
nice.
so very soon. Yeah.
Can't start next Tuesday. I'm taking TexRail up to Grapevine. Okay.
I apologize. And
No,
I
it's
just
okay.
got back from Boston
I'll work
last
in
week.
the current
and
schedule.
I flew back in and was really hoping that it had already taken place, but unfortunately had. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed.
Thank you, Reed.
All right, Greg's back, BA 2025-9.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. You have an item before you today to extend and increase the contract amount for ADP for payroll services. We came to you last year about this time for authorization for $400,000. This modification and additional funding will carry us through February of 2026. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
No questions, motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Kelly, BA 2025-10.
All right, thank you. I'm Kelly Shields. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer. And last year about this time, the board approved a contract with Masterminds Leadership for some training that we did for leadership team, directors, managers, and supervisors. It was a 2-year program. We approved it for 1 year, and this recommendation is for the 2nd year. We also expanded the scope to include some leadership coaching. So let's see, I'll read the recommendation. Trinity Metro Board of Directors authorizes the President and Chief Executive Officer to amend the contract with Masterminds Leadership LLC for additional leadership development programs in the amount of $66,300 for a total not to exceed amount of $365,000.
Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, Kelly. Greg's back.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Greg Jordan, Chief Financial Officer. A moment ago, you approved 3 items. As I mentioned then, those were required under the Public Funds Investment Act. The Public Funds Investment Act further requires that through some sort of written instrument, be it ordinance or resolution, that the governing body approve and restate through a resolution. And so what you have before you is a resolution approving the investment policy of Trinity Metro. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. And read.
Read a smaller text.
So on the last page of your packet, we have a resolution regarding the Trinity, showing support for the Trinity Railway Express. I'm not going to read all this in the, to save time here, but we wanted to publicly show our support for the Trinity Railway Express and the absolutely necessary service it provides for our communities, and that's what this is for. So,
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our action items. We do need to go into executive session. 2 matters for executive session: legal discussion concerning Lancaster versus Trinity Metro, case number 21-0425A, and fiscal year 24 performance and fiscal year 25 goals for executive incentive program. The Board of Directors may convene in executive session under the Texas Open Meetings Act for consultation with its attorney pursuant to Section 551.071, deliberation regarding real property pursuant to Section 551.072, deliberation regarding prospective gift pursuant to Section 551.073, deliberation regarding personnel matters pursuant to Section 551.074, deliberation regarding security devices pursuant to Section 551.076, and/or deliberations regarding economic development negotiations pursuant to Section 551.087.
My best guess is that we'll be in there for 10 minutes? 10?
10, 15,
Okay.
no tops. And then when we return, we'll go through the remainder of the agenda items, including citizen comments and information items. From executive session at 3:51, we did table item number 2, FY24 performance and FY25 goals for executive incentive program, so that it can be carried forward to another agenda, to another meeting, excuse me. So that brings us back to our written agenda. We're going to move into, we have a presentation. I'm sorry, citizen comments is first. Thank you. 4. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start with Kenneth. Thank you, Kenneth. Come on up to the platform and to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hey, Kenneth, I'm going to start that, and then you're good to go, right?
Okay.
All right, go for it.
The problem I have is bus 6. I live on McCartan, Alta Mesa, behind the old Sack and Save. You'll have that bus turning on South Park. It takes forever to get to a bus stop when I have to walk to past CVS to catch the bus. Y'all used to have it going straight to McCart, and there used to be a bus stop right there. Bus stop outside the complex. Now it takes forever. It's hard. Because I ride bus 6 all the time. And that's the problem I'm having. I just like for the bus stop be put back outside the complex where I live.
All right, Kenneth, thank you. Does that conclude your comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing
Do we
that
know the
input.
name of the apartment complex you're referring to?
South Park?
Yeah, Wayne, would someone connect with the gentleman?
Get the details.
Yep.
Polo Club Apartments. Polo Club Apartments. Great. Okay, thank you. And now Jerry. Jerry, are you still here? Thank you, Jerry.
Got my sophisticated timer here, so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Board, for hearing my comment. My complaint is with the Trinity Metro on-demand service. I take the transportation service or public transportation because it's convenient and economical. But I've had problems with the Trinity on-demand service. I've been yelled at by some of the drivers. I've been in a vehicle where these drivers have driven on the wrong side of the street in construction zones, and they've driven at high rates of speed. They've driven recklessly. I've waited for them for over hours to get there, even though it shows on the app that the time that they're supposed to be there and how long it's going to take them to get to your destination. But they don't show up, or either they just don't show up. They don't show up, and they don't respond. And please do not call them, because if you call them, you're going to get yelled at, you're going to get cussed out, and they're going to give you major attitude. I've called the customer service line, and the only thing these people do is apologize profusely. That does not help me, because most of the time these people, like I called yesterday, and these people are still employed with this company, and they shouldn't be. Or there should be some kind of a training that should be initiated to help these people to deal with the public. They are on the phone talking to their friends while you're in the vehicle with them, discussing private issues. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear your private conversations with your friend. I want you to pick me up at my location and get me to where I need to go safely, and I do not want to deal with you on the phone talking to your friends or your family. I was in the vehicle on the 18th. One of the drivers, which they do this a lot, I've seen them do this a lot, they drive past your location. I mean, and they don't even stop. She did not even stop. I called her and said, well, you just passed me up. It took about 2 to 3 minutes to come back and pick me up. When she did pick me up, they gave her another pickup prompt to pick someone else up. She went to that place to pick that person up. She put the car in drive, and she didn't even wait for that person. She called her dispatch and asked them if she could go offline, and the dispatcher told her, well, you have someone in your car, and you also have someone in the queue. She said, I will take both of them to their location, and then I will go offline then. She did not do that. She took off with me in the car. She blasted the music as loud as she possibly could. She took me to my location. She drove recklessly. She speeded, and you know, this should not be. This should not be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing that. All right, Ms. Pettis, Sandra?
How are you doing today? Is that good?
Favorite shoes.
Thank you.
They're awesome.
There you go.
All right, greeting to everyone. Hello. All right, I'm going to be passing along a good positive word to you. Person, some of you may know them or some may be getting used to knowing him. His name is Prince Starr, and he asked, I told him I was coming tonight. Usually he'll come, but I said, is there anything you wanted me to share? So he said he would love for me to share with you that he did receive his kidney transplant and all is going well, and he wants to send all his thanks to you all, especially for all the dialysis trips. So many thanks from Prince Starr. All right, I am grateful for so many things. Grateful for the new vehicles, the new contract, new drivers, new plans. Thank you for that. That's just great. Let's see. This did occur on Tuesday, the 10th, 10/15/24. This was the paratransit transportation. Was late and caused me to miss my 9 a.m. Vascular ultrasound. And that, we don't have to have that. We can improve on that, because then you're getting some more money for me to have to reschedule and go back when I could have did both on one day. So we can improve on that. And this lastly, did you know that on hold, there seems to be a long waiting time, especially 20 minutes, but it has went up to 30 minutes on times on a regular basis. And this is too much. It is very difficult when there is a discrepancy or issue that you cannot contact anyone, dispatch anybody to help you. That is very frustrating. Let's improve that. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for being here and for sharing that input.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, and finally, Ashton Smith.
I was at the Dallas Cowboys and they charged a fee just for a tour. And I thought, okay, Trinity Metro could charge, $40 per person to tour this facility and make all of that money goes back into the facility. And if you get direct sponsorships, even churches can do this. They can get direct sponsorships, meaning America, you could get some of that money as well because you're here, right here in Texas. These are ways for you to support yourselves and have sustainability, and also get direct sponsorships from maintenance companies and people who fix, maintain, and run your buses. This way, contracts and stuff like that can be more efficient. More money can go directly to you because those sponsorships are directly done by the companies who manufacture and make buses. That's also something you can put in AI. The people who make your buses, guess what? I can get that at a reduced rate if I put it in AI. So the AI is important to me, and I think that it's something that y'all should look into as a company. It would also help with time efficiency. Like the lady said, I was on hold for 41 minutes on the phone. AI would speed all this up. You guys have a good one. Like you so much. Hopefully you take these ideas. Like you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank
man.
you, Ashton.
Thank you. Go make your money, man.
All right.
Thank you. That concludes our citizen comments for today. Thank you all for being here. We are now really going to move into presentation. Jim Wright, 2024 Market Research with Pulsar Advertising. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. My name is Jim Wright. I am partner and senior strategic marketing planner with a specialty in market research for Pulsar Advertising. We work with Melissa and Glenn in all of our advertising and marketing. And again, thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this morning. So we conducted a similar rider and non-rider survey in the fall of 2021 as we were emerging from the COVID pandemic. We used a very similar survey earlier this year, which enables us to provide you with some very useful and informative comparisons. We conducted two surveys, a rider survey and a non-rider survey. Let's start with the non-rider survey. So, as with the 2021 survey, we really wanted to quantify the brand awareness of Trinity Metro. In addition, we wanted to see, were we able to grow that awareness at all since 2021? Just a quick refresher, unaided awareness is where we ask the non-rider if they can give us the name of Trinity Metro without any prompting whatsoever. It's the gold standard of awareness because if somebody can give us the name of Trinity Metro, if a non-rider can give us the name of Trinity Metro, it's likely that not only they know the name, they're familiar with the service, and they're likely to give consideration to riding. Aided awareness is where we provide the name of Trinity Metro and we ask if the non-rider is familiar with Trinity Metro. It's a slight change from 2021 because in 2021 we asked them, have you ever heard of Trinity Metro? So familiarity is actually a little bit higher standard. So that'll be important as I show you the results. So we've seen significant growth in the unaided awareness, that gold standard I mentioned, which went from 22 to 40%. Represents an over 80% growth in unaided awareness. The aided awareness stayed at 60%, but as I said earlier, we changed the way we asked that question to, are you familiar with it? So even though the numbers stayed the same, we actually think that that is an improvement over what we had prior. When non-riders were asked how they would rate their impression of Trinity Metro, we looked at the top 2 box scores. It slipped a bit from 2021, going from 53% to 42%. We believe that in 2021, there was still a bit of a halo effect. We were just coming out of COVID, and a lot of even non-riders were very appreciative. They valued a great deal the service that Trinity Metro provided to get essential workers to where they needed to go. And with what we're seeing now in 2024 is that halo effect is gone. But even with that, it's still a very good, non-rider impression. We saw significant growth in the percentage of homes where Spanish is the primary language spoken, growing from 4% to 20% between 2021 and 2024. And this will have a direct impact on what we recommend in terms of future marketing. We wanted to take that Spanish speaking at home and break it down. So we broke it down by age brackets, as you can see. And we find it very interesting that it's just a lot higher in that younger non-rider category of 18 to 44. So among non-riders, we're not seeing significant changes for what would cause them to think about using Trinity Metro, except that even more, 50%, could see themselves using Trinity Metro to go to entertainment and events. We think this could be significantly because of our existing campaign, which has messaging and visuals that have been designed to increase awareness of how Trinity Metro can get riders to these places together with personal, recreational, and shopping. So we really wanted to dive into the factors that would encourage the non-riders to use Trinity Metro, and I really want to focus on the top 4. If your car is not available due to repairs. This is one of the 4 life changes that we find in the industry that cause non-riders to give consideration to transit use. With the cost of maintaining the car gets higher and the fact that the car is in for repairs, we know that non-riders give serious consideration to trying Trinity Metro. The next 3 all have to do with how non-riders value their time. If the time to get to entertainment and events by car increases due to traffic or congestion, if Trinity Metro is faster or as fast as driving by car, or if there's construction or congestion along my commute route, it will take me longer to get to work. I can tell you from years of working in transit market research, time and money are the 2 primary factors that drive people's considerations of taking transit. And in this market, clearly saving time is really important, especially in these busy days. We asked non-riders, what is your most trusted source for information about public transportation? And overwhelmingly, they value the internet and Google. This would include Trinity Metro's own website. Second was social media. And important, we think, is that direct mail has returned as a trusted source of information. Direct mail, as you all may know, fell out of vogue years ago. And then, interestingly enough, when COVID came, it came back into active consideration. People really liked it. Again, we see stations and stops as a trusted source. This is significant because not only are the stations and stops operationally required for our service, but it's where many non-riders go to find information about how to use Trinity Metro. In other words, Excuse me. In other words, our stations and stops are also marketing information sources. We saw significant change from 20 to 24 on the perception of public transportation. For example, thinking that public transportation is an affordable alternative to driving a car. It went from 10% to 63%. 6 times more people think public transportation is more affordable than driving a car. Similarly, the perception that non-riders have that public transportation is safe went from 10% to 62%. Now, coming out of COVID, I think, has a significant contributing factor to that for sure. Only 47% think that public transportation services successfully operate on schedule, and we clearly do better than that. So clearly that's a marketing opportunity, communications opportunity for us as well. We wanted to dive down into that a little bit more about how public transportation being an affordable alternative to owning a car. Interestingly enough, those who didn't agree with it the most, the people who opposed that, I agree, were in the 18 to 24 category. And those that agreed with it most were in the 25 to 54 category. We believe that the 18 to 24 category may not have owned a car yet, or much of their expenses were being borne elsewhere, but that 25 to 54 category is definitely a marketing opportunity. So, on to the rider survey. So let's take an overview look at a profile of a rider. Incredibly, 9 out of 10 riders would recommend Trinity Metro to family and friends. Not surprising these days that young people are waiting later and later to secure their driver's licenses. 40% of the riders do not have driver's licenses. 70%, or 7 out of 10, don't have a working vehicle that they could have used. And in alignment with that, 86% of our riders have a household income under $60,000. As we said, we're seeing with the non-riders, we're also seeing growth in the Hispanic community, with 30% of our riders identifying as Hispanic. And finally, 50% of our riders started riding with us in the last 2 years. We're attracting new riders, which is great. The overwhelming way that our current riders are getting to bus stops or rail stations is by walking. And then once they reach their destination, the overwhelming way they're getting from their bus or the rail station to the final destination is by walking. This is really important information because it helps us understand the watershed for our system. It's overwhelmingly by walking. We continue to see rail riders taking advantage of driving a car to the parking that's available at some rail stations as well. This is an amazing statistic. 91% of our riders are likely to recommend Trinity Metro to family or friends. This is definitely an opportunity to build a referral program. Even though we've seen rider satisfaction go from 84% to 80% in 2024, I'll say 2 things about this. One, we're seeing this across the entire transit industry. It's not something that's unique to Trinity Metro. And as I said earlier, we're also seeing this loss of the halo effect as we came out of COVID. The fact that we're still at 80% is awesome. The second is that 4% variance is within the error, the margin of error for the study. So for me, it's statistically the same number. When you compare Trinity Metro's 80% rider satisfaction with the transit industry national average of 58%, we are doing a terrific job of meeting customers' expectations or service. So one of the things that we love to do it's kind of our geeky thing to do, sorry, what we love to do with quantitative market research studies is to do a regression analysis, literally to reverse engineer what is the top drivers to that satisfaction? Why are people satisfied? What gets us to that 80% number? There are 4 things. Our service is running on schedule, our service is reliable, we're having frequent service available, and it's being safe by having onboard security. From my perspective as a market researcher, if we just focus our efforts on those 4 things, I can guarantee you that the rider satisfaction would improve. I know life's not that simple, but. As I said earlier, 51% of riders have started riding in the past 2 years. The good news is that in addition to attracting new riders, which is always a good result, we're also retaining existing riders. Notice that the riders that have been riding more than 5 years has grown from 21% to 31%, almost a 50% growth. So that is equally good news. When asked, we asked riders where they prefer to get information about bus, rail, ride sharing, bike sharing, infrastructure, anything related to transportation. And not surprising, again, the number one is online search, which again would include Trinity Metro's own website. The mobile app is second, but again, we see Trinity Metro's own stations and bus stops as an important source of information for our riders. Given that the non-riders are telling us that 84% of the non-riders are being asked to come back to on-site work at least 3 days a week, we think it would be beneficial to explore having a commuter ridership campaign, coming back to that commuter as a rider. At the same time, we recommend continuing the existing campaign, encouraging non-riders and riders to use Trinity Metro to get to entertainment and event, recreation, and shopping. Clearly, with the increasing number of Spanish-speaking residents, we think it would be beneficial to increase the ridership, to increase our Hispanic and Spanish-speaking elements of our campaign. While we're very pleased with the growth in unaided awareness, I think that there's also an opportunity to continue that growth in terms of our awareness in the community by putting a portion of our budget towards more broad-based campaigns like out-of-home, traditional radio, or even TV. And given the trust that non-riders have with direct mail, we should definitely do more direct mail within walking distance of bus stops and rail stations. And then given the feedback that non-riders would consider riding Trinity Metro if their car was in repair, one of the things we could do is geo-target car owners and geo-fence major car repair locations within proximity of Trinity Metro services to serve them ads promoting Trinity Metro. We could use the case point that Trinity Metro is an affordable option to owning a car with potential riders 25 to 54-year-olds. And then finally, capitalizing on the willingness for our riders to recommend Trinity Metro to family and friends, to encouraging them through a referral campaign. With that, I thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have two questions, very brief. How are we defining rider and non-rider? Is a non-rider someone who has never ridden Trinity Metro or has ridden only maybe one or two services?
They haven't ridden within the last 24 months.
Within the last 24 months, thank you. And then what was the total number of responses?
So for the rider, we had 2,750, and for the non-rider, it was 600.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, we're going to move into information items and reports. We're going to skip the first information item and move to commuter rail with Reed.
Hi, good afternoon again. Reed Lanham, Vice President of Rail. If you would please turn to pages 53 and 54 of your packet, and we'll go over the monthly update for TexRail and TRE ridership and on-time performance. On page 53, we've got TRE. We had another great month on TRE, seeing a 6.5% increase in ridership. And for the year, since September brought the year to a close, we came in at 12% higher than the year before. So we're seeing some very encouraging trends on TRE as well. I can tell you we just wrapped up the State Fair, which is by far the busiest time of year for TRE. And the initial numbers we're seeing are all very encouraging as well. We had a very strong year this year with a minimum 3%, but it's probably going to be more than that increase from last year's State Fair time. The crews at TRE continue to work extremely safe. That's one of the things we're proudest of. Our maintenance of signal, maintenance of way, and transportation departments are all nearing 2 years injury-free, and that's a trend we want to keep going. As far as on-time performance goes, we once again ended well above goal on TRE, and that is a great testament to the mechanical team and operations folks that we have out at TRE. Page 54. We have the TexRail ridership and on-time performance. For the on-time performance, we were well above goal on TexRail as well. Luckily, no major tenant derailments or anything like that occurred in September. And again, the TexRail operations team continues to put out a good product. We saw a 13% increase in ridership for year over year, and we ended the year with 19% increase in ridership between last year. For the first time ever, we eclipsed 750,000 riders on TexRail, and we hope with our newly approved enhanced schedule that number continues to increase. With that, I'd love to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Reed. Wayne with operations report. No? Okay, Alicia.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. Of course, I'm Alicia Walker, General Manager, and I'm pleased to provide you with an update on our Trinity Metro On Demand program. Very excited. I think I'd click here. So just a couple of milestones. In June, of course, we continued with our existing zones, and we transitioned to the Southeast Zone from Trinity Metro in-house to our contracted services with VIA. So very excited about that. I think, as you probably all know, a transition can be very difficult, but this one has been going very smoothly. So very excited about it. We do have a couple of things that we're working on to improve it even more, but just wanted to talk about that. July the 15th, we launched our new zones in Mansfield and Alliance. And September, we launched the North Side and TCC, a direct point-to-point that starts from the TRE Trinity Lake Station and to the TCC Northeast campus. October 1st, which was really an exciting time, we transitioned all of our paratransit to our VIA platform. That got completed, and we are moving forward, so just wanted to share a couple of highlights with you on that. I think I want to share. There we go. So our journey to launch started as I stated earlier. We expanded our zones, Mansfield and Northeast, North Side, and so forth. So we have 8 zones now. And we have trained over 90 Trinity Metro employees, including operators, on our VIA platform, software platform. It's been fairly seamless it's definitely seamless with our 30,000 paratransit clients, transitioning from our past Trapeze system to our VIA system. We also successfully rebranded 80 vehicles. We are still in the works of doing that with our in-house vehicles, so very excited about that. And there have been driver checkoffs of about 43 VIA drivers in 3 weeks, and then we have definitely VIA staff that's provided coverage for staff during this service during our launch hours, our launch day. As you can see, our demand is continuing to increase. We're averaging a little over 1,000 a day. October 5th was a weekend, and so we have our service, our ridership, and this is the first week of our service that I'm sharing with you here. We did in-house about 35% of the service, and 65% was completed by the VIA system. And so 72% of that. So we're averaging about a little over 1,000. Our overtime, our on-time, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I didn't skip it. Our overall OTP is improving also, and we're continuing our efforts to reach our goal of 91%. You can see on Saturday, which is our weekends are usually better than during the week, but our weekdays have been improving by 83% to 86% as of last week. So we're excited about that. And then I just wanted to share some photos of the cohorts and the graduations, and we've just been really interactive, been checking off, and you can see our vehicle, of course. So it's really an exciting time. VIA has a local office here, and they have barbecues and a lot of different things that are going on, but it's really nice to see they're working really hard with us, and we're very happy for their partnership. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm open to any questions you might have.
I don't have a question, but I've been hearing compliments about y'all's transition and things out there. And at some point, Wayne, I would love to go with you and visit with some of our JPS clinics. They've talked about how they're currently partnered with Uber and those things, and we're unaware of all the great things that y'all have been doing. So happy to help encourage those conversations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Based on some public comments today, I'm just wondering, Alicia, if you could shed some light on how would a customer know whether a Trinity Metro On-Demand trip is being provided by a Trinity Metro staff member versus our contractor?
Well, the contractor does have a uniform and so forth, but it depends because we do have the TNC service to offset the VIA drivers also, just to meet the demand. So it's depends on if they called in to our number, because we also have, there's a dispatch with VIA. So as we do a deep dive, especially with Mr. Jerry here, we'll find out if it's one of ours. But everyone has been trained, but we have been adding to the training to help to improve definitely the sensitivity with our paratransit riders, that it's really key that we continue that training and checking them off. So we have changed a couple of approaches to dealing with how they've been trained on the VIA side to make sure that they're meeting our standard. Thank you. Thank you very
Any
much.
other questions? Thank you. All right, Chad.
Good afternoon. Chad Edwards, Executive Vice President of Planning. I've got a couple items I want to highlight before I get into the presentation in your handouts there. We finished up the Urban Rail Committee, the Mayor's Urban Rail Committee last week with a positive direction on starting to pursue urban rail or streetcar or something to that effect in Fort Worth. We, Trinity Metro, through our general planning consultant, HDR, is working with the city through their consultant of TTI, Texas A&M Transportation Institute, on a report that we'll write over the next month and deliver to the committee in December. So positive outcome with that committee to continue to move forward. There are a lot of influential people in that particular committee that decided that this was something that was important for the city that we wanted to continue to pursue. So I just want to highlight that we've got some momentum there. Next is a TexRail extension. Last month we delivered 90% design on the TexRail extension. We expect by the end of the year we'll have 100% design. This includes all the environmental clearances, things like that. We are still working on 3 agreements, one with Union Pacific Railroad, one with Fort Worth and Western Railroad, and the last with Baylor Scott and Whitehall Saints. So all of those are in progress and different levels of advancement, but all moving in a positive direction. So very excited about getting to a point there with the TexRail. Lastly is the work on the strategic action plan. We are planning a board workshop for the next board meeting, so hopefully everybody can be available at 1 o'clock on November 18th to workshop the strategic action plan and the direction for the agency at that point in time. Additionally, we are working on setting up meetings, can be virtual or in person, with the board members to talk about some of that as we prep for the workshop. So just keep that on your horizon there and on your list. And when I or Jennifer Villaire call, make sure you pick up so we can get a meeting. So thank you. Back to the agenda, 2 items that I have, and then the last one Rebecca Montgomery has. If there are any questions on the general planning consultant update, let me know as always. This is a running status of the work that we're doing. And then very quickly, I'll run through the ridership review. I have, as you guys know, many slides, and I'll highlight just a few of them for you guys. The first one is, and it is on, at roughly 7.8 million rides, which was our goal. So you'll hear more about that later. And so this is just to show that with our FY24 ridership numbers at 7.8 million, we are really close to where we were before COVID in the 2018-2019 timeframe there.
Chad, what was our all-time high? Do we know? Was 2019 that?
No, it was, I think in the 10, 11, 13 timeframe, we had probably 10 million rides, yeah.
Now that we're doing 30-minute headways, Reed can get us there again. So.
We're counting on Reed to do that. Let's see, moving on very quickly. What was the other ones I wanted to highlight? Oh, The one that Tito always asks about is this one here, is how do we compare to our peers in the state? We've obviously a lot higher. This will probably be the last time I show this graph just because of where we are with COVID and how we've recovered. But the blue line there clearly shows where we are in relation to the rest of the other Texas peer groups in transit authority. So we have recovered. This shows by more than 7% there since February of 2020. Lastly is just the takeaways. On average, we've hit 1 million rides annually for the past 3 years, which I think is a nice talking point for us as we talk about the ridership with the agency. Bus continues to be the largest share of our ridership at 59%. Rail, when combined, TexRail and TRE is 26%. And then the forecast, their opportunities, TexRail, as you mentioned, with the 30-minute headways, on demand as it continues to grow, as Alicia said, and then the van pool opportunities across the region. And there you go. That's it.
Chad, question on the TexRail extension. Do we have a shelf life on that SD set? You said it's 90%.
On the environmental part or the?
Well, it's 90% of the total design, right? Is that what
Yeah,
we're?
September was 90% total design, right?
Will there be a shelf life on that? Do we need to execute and start moving dirt?
So typically, with your environmental clearance, you have 3 years
that's what
before
I
you
thought.
have to update that again. Basically, a supplemental environmental statement would be fine to get that if we went that far.
Okay. Thank you.
And then Rebecca is up. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and board members. Nice to see you. I'm Rebecca Montgomery, Director of Government Relations, here to provide a legislative update. I will be brief. I know you've been waiting for a bit. Naturally, we wouldn't have a legislative update without elections, right? So today kicked off early voting. Everyone in this room, I expect to see your I voted sticker, everyone in this room, because you all can make a difference. And it's something we have, it's a gift, it's an opportunity. So everyone, we need your voice to be heard. Election season is here. Early voting is through November 1st. November 5th is our general election date, your last opportunity to make a difference casting your vote. How will this impact Tarrant County? We will have 2 new county commissioners who are retiring. Precinct 1, Commissioner Brooks, and Precinct 3, Commissioner Fickus. Running in Precinct 1, we have Roderick Miles along with Michael Barber. In Precinct 3, we have Matt Krause, former House Rep, along with Laura Lehman. And we'll have 2 new state representatives for Tarrant County. District 91, David Lowe defeated Stephanie Click. And in District 97, Representative Craig Goldman, who's now running for Congress, his seat will have John McQueenie and Carlos Walker both on the ballot. Now let's move on to our legislative session. Takes place every odd year for 140 days only, thank goodness is what a lot of folks say. Beginning the second Tuesday of January, which will be January the 14th, 2025. Some dates to keep in mind. November the 11th, that's less than a month away, pre-filing of bills begin, so get your legislative language ready. Generally, 800 to 1,000 bills are filed in the pre-filing period. This gives us an idea of some topics that are really important to our legislators. After they convene on January the 14th, that's when the most priority, heavy-hitting bills items hit the filing period, and that looks like anywhere from 10 to 11,000 bills generally get filed, with less than half actually passing. February 10th and 11th is Tarrant County Days. March 14th is the bill filing deadline. So if you do not have a bill with the House or Senate name on it, it's not happening. June the 2nd is referred as sine die. What does that mean? It's Latin for the end. Now, we're going to share, let's move on to public transportation. I find it very exciting to see transportation being addressed in interim charges, both in the House and Senate, as well as in legislative agendas around North Texas, including Senate Transportation Committee has an item includes funding for public transportation in their agenda. As far as the North Texas Commission, the North Texas COG, And even the Fort Worth Chamber has listed funding for public transportation in their legislative agendas. This is huge. At COG alone, I know Jeff is not here, but some of us were there last week. I've been to many a meeting at COG, and I have never experienced the amount of time spent discussing public transportation. That was a first for me. So there's progress. Some areas we plan to focus on this next session that we're going to bring to you in November in more detail would be, of course, any type of funding, increased infrastructure funding, increased transportation funding, supporting local control, identifying ways to reduce costs and speed our project deliveries, all while increasing ridership. This is a combined effort with partners and colleagues around North Texas to truly go to the state and ask for funding for public transportation. So we appreciate your help on this. Moving forward, we will let you know how you can help us and support us, and if available, come testify on our behalf. Our next steps will be to incorporate our areas of interest into our Trinity Metro 2025 legislative agenda, which we'll bring back here to you to review and approve on November 18th. We will then shop it around to our local delegation. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you for your time. See you in November.
All right, Glenn, thank you.
So I did it, but we're going to do a time check here. I know Board Member Nettles has to leave. Joel, we're able to continue, just not take any action on business?
Exactly right.
Okay. So, Board Member Nettles, thank you.
Excellent. Good afternoon. I'm here to give you I'm Glenn Miller, Director of Marketing, here to give you a brief overview of our successful launch of the Orange Line this past month. We're going to start with just a few images of some of the events that we conducted to get the Orange Line out in the community, to get some initial exposure, to tease it before the launch. Started with the debut at the National Day of the American Cowboy Parade on Saturday, July 27th. Followed by our team working with the hotel concierge to introduce the service to them, get them to promote it to their attendees. Gosh, which way do I point this? Along with a city bus tour where we took the buses out to a number of downtown entities and organizations to get them exposed to the beauty of these new Western-themed buses. Capped off with the media stakeholders launch party on Friday, September 13th at the Stockyards early that morning with great success and a great turnout. I am clicking. There we go. Here's some additional photos from that morning. Next day was the public launch party at the Stockyards, where we had a variety of activities, including armadillo races, balloon twisters. We had all three of our buses in the parade that followed the herd, as well as we distributed a bunch of bandanas, boot koozies, and information about the Orange Line to the public. It was a very successful day. We had a phenomenal time, rather hot, but all worked out well. And then the very next day, there was the Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff celebration and parade, also at the Stockyards, with only one of the buses was able to participate that day because we were in revenue service with the new line. And finally, at the end of September, we participated in the PBR Texas Rattlers Day Parade. On to the coverage that we received from this event. More than 60 media stories were generated, reaching an audience of more than 8.6 million people with a publicity value just under $800,000. In addition to some of the print articles that are shown here, there will be a story in the about the Orange Line in passenger transport coming up very soon. Earned media also, we were very successful to have coverage on all of the major broadcast networks in the DFW market following the launch on the 13th. In-house, our social media team put together a variety of posts to tease and promote the line. We had a reach of more than 77,000 through these posts with more than 97,000 impressions. In addition, there were another 9,677 views on TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube Shorts. Oops, I skipped one there. We incorporated the use of a social media influencer, the Fort Worth Love List, which with more than 306,000 followers, that generated 137,000 views with more than 5,000 engagements and 2,600 shares to help us generate news about the service. All right, there we go. But more importantly, our message wasn't just shared by us. It generated quite a bit of buzz through other organizations within Fort Worth, including Visit Fort Worth, Mayor Matty Parker, the Northside community, Carlos Flores, as well as APTA, just to name a few. So the word was out. And then we also did arrange for an extensive amount of paid media to support this, including a number of out-of-home billboards and posters. And these alone generated more than 9.3 million impressions in September by themselves. There at the bottom is a photo of the Weekly's distribution box, which was an added value for service that they provided to us. There were 4 of those placed strategically around downtown and 1 at Main and Exchange near the stockyards. And they're still there today. Additional media included e-newsletter ads in Fort Worth Today, Fort Worth Key Magazine, which is prominent in downtown hotels. This is sensitive. There we go. Oh. Again, there was a lot with Fort Worth Weekly, which I went back to, including print ads. But the piece de resistance is the 4-page cover wrap that is at your podium there, right in front of you. Very good, yes. And this we did all this with the Weekly between August 19th and September 30th. Other items included Culture Map Fort Worth, promotional emails, daily newsletter ads, the Fort Worth Star Telegram. We took over their homepage on 3 different dates with all of our advertising, and What's Up Fort Worth, another digital newsletter. We also incorporated some paid media on Facebook and Instagram, some connected TV or pre-roll video, which is streaming services. And then we posted some display ads and retargeted them for anyone who visited our website. And also incorporated search engine marketing, which is where we increase the website visibility on search engine results pages through paid advertising. Finally, a few days after the launch, our own Melissa Chrisman and Visit Fort Worth's Mitch Witten were on Good Morning Texas for a presentation on Thursday, September 19th that generated quite a bit of exposure for us on broadcast television. The results, all very good. More than 12 million impressions with more than 22 get on. So I think the ridership is there. The Orange Line has been successful. So let's all continue to ride. And that's all I have. Any questions?
I don't have a question, Glenn, but I just want to say that y'all have done an amazing job on this, and this is the first campaign you've been part of where one of my family members from out of area forwarded me info about the Orange Line to make sure I knew. So, solid work there.
Awesome.
I love the
We're very proud of
billboards.
it, and we hope that all continues.
The billboards are great.
Yes,
Love seeing
more than 9.3 million impressions alone. So, and most of those will be live through early November. So, all good.
Great work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Glenn. Ms. Deetra.
Last but not least. Good afternoon, board members. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Deetra Whitmore, VP of Community Engagement, and I will be giving you our year-end review in community engagement. So you received my packet, my information in your packet, and it starts on page 92. I want to point out some of the highlights for the year. But before I do that, Madam Chair, on pages 93 and 94 regarding your request from last month about our hold times and the team's effectiveness in handling calls, specifically for paratransit bookings, we separated the hold times for paratransit calls and other calls. And our findings indicate that there's really not a significant difference, mostly because the majority of our calls are paratransit. So, which involves booking trips when customers are calling, inquiring about their rides, or us creating solutions for them. So we want to continually to work towards our goal of reducing the hold time to 0.5 minutes. I know it can be done because it's been done before. So our team will, as our team get accustomed to using the new VIA software, I think will improve our hold time. But if you want us to continue to separate those out, we can. It's whatever you all want to see.
This was a great data point just from that one conversation. So
Okay. All right. So moving on, so I'm going to shorten my report a little bit. Moving on to page 97. We want to thank our employees and communities for coming out. I guess you all need to see the screen, right? It's not working. I'm moving to page 97. Next one. Next one. That one, yes. We want to thank our employees and communities for coming out for our 5th annual Bus Stop Cleanup Day. 247 volunteers spent a Saturday morning collecting 85 bags of trash along our bus routes. We had 2 new sponsors for this time, and it was, from the feedback from our volunteers, they were very pleased. They were happy that we asked them to participate. And Trinity Metro was also featured in NBC5's I See Something Good segment. So that was really good. Then on page 98, I want to just let you all know we ended our fiscal year with van pool. It says 198, but we actually ended with 201 van pools. This is marking a 17% growth year over year. We're really proud of that, which is significantly higher than the 7% national average. Lastly, on page 99, I want to remind you we have our 22nd annual scholarship golf tournament coming up next Monday. This is to support our employees and their dependents. Last May, we awarded over $19,000 in scholarships, $19,000 in scholarships, and hope to increase this amount. We truly appreciate our sponsors and our supporters. And then additionally, we've begun our 2nd annual professional clothing drive benefiting high school and college students in participation with or in partnership with East Area Council Board and Texas Wesleyan University, led by Sherry Lee and Evelia Salazar. So thank you. Madam Chair, that is my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. If there are none, I'll move to my next item. Nope. All right. So our next item is the list of events that's going to be on page 100. This fiscal year, we have a vibrant schedule of events planned to engage and appreciate our employees. And these events really aim to foster the culture of recognition, inclusivity, and community within our organization. So you have a list of those events in your packet. I don't think it's not on the, okay. And then we also have events to underscore our commitment in the community, which creates inclusivity and positive impact for the community. And all of these events that we're planning for the year for the employees as well as the community, the annual cost per employee is $125, and it's included in our FY25 operating budget. There are no recommendations to this information item, as this is an information item for the board's feedback or discussion. And Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Deetra?
I have no questions, but as I have said before, any of these that can get on our calendar so the board can come and be appreciative in person with the staff, we'd love to be there as often as we can.
Yes, you all are invited, and we will make sure Christine and her team has this on your calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this gets us through our final.
Do you want me to?
Do you want to do President's report?
I can be short, or yeah. Do you want to hear? Well, I'll
Take the time to write it. We want to hear.
No. We want to hear. Yeah. Let me just a couple quick highlights. I do think that the success that we've experienced with Orange Line is extraordinary and exceptional. I think it's important to recognize here what we've accomplished in terms of changing attitudes, opinions about bus service. Well, a number of us have traveled recently, and what we have heard from colleagues around the industry is, wow, we didn't know Fort Worth was building a bus rapid transit system. So the fact that people perceive this as something very unique and different is exactly, I think, correct in the sense that we hit the mark and we're producing the results. And what we hope we will continue to do is through these investments, which are fairly low budget and fairly strategic and that we will continue to drive ridership. I think that 10 million mark that we heard about is a high point for Trinity Metro. I think that's very doable in the next few years. So we'll continue to work on that, and I think I have no doubt that a couple years out we'll be, setting all-time records. I'll also just highlight that in the last few weeks, last week we met with every employee at Trinity Metro, our leadership team and myself. We had 8 town halls throughout the day, some early morning, some in the evening. We were able to have a conversation with our team, and what we heard was some really important feedback. We heard many people see Trinity Metro as a great place to work, but there is some frustration in a couple of, or 3 areas. There's frustration in terms of perceptions of their personal safety and security, communication, and career advancement opportunities. So what we'll be doing is convening an employee-led task force to dive into those and make recommendations on each. And when we have that employee-led committee, we'll come back to this board with an update on our progress. And then just to wrap up, I think we just moved into the number 11 slot potentially in terms of population. I'm hearing that we're neck and neck with Austin. Jacksonville is around the corner in terms of overtaking Jacksonville. And if we're going to be a really, I think philosophically, if we're going to be a top 10 city, both in terms of population, but also in terms of swagger and attitude, we're going to need a top 10 transit system. So I think the story of Orange Line, the story of TexRail, the ridership gains, we need to be thinking much bigger. Now, the one caveat with that, and I'll wrap up with this, is that thinking bigger does mean being nimble, creative, and innovative, but at some point it also means finding the resources to get the job done. And so we're on a journey here. The path forward isn't super clear at this point, but I do know that there's interest and an appetite to do more. So stay tuned. We're going to need your help to get it done. And when I say your help, I mean everyone in this room and beyond. And with that, Madam Chair, those are my remarks.
And with that, our meeting is adjourned.
Bada bing.
Thank y'all.
Love it.